Hello everyone. Today we will go through a detailed overview of Sahi Pro. Sahi Pro is a mature, business-ready tool for automation of web application testing. If you are looking for rapid and reliable web automation, Sahi would be the best choice among web automation tools. Sahi is especially suited for cross-browser, multi-browser testing of complex Web 2.2 applications with lots of Ajax and dynamic content. Sahi works on any modern browser which supports JavaScript. Let us get started with Sahi's features. Installing Sahi is very straightforward. Once Sahi is installed successfully, you can launch Sahi dashboard by clicking on the shortcut created on desktop. Sahi uses a proxy to inject JavaScript into the web pages. The JavaScript enables record and playback. The injected JavaScript adds event handlers for recording, Sahi APIs for event simulation, and mocks some window dialogues like alert, prompt, confirm, print, so that the playback is not affected. As Sahi uses a proxy, we see the prompt with the question, do you want to allow Sahi to change proxy settings? Let us click on continue and proceed. What we see here is the Sahi dashboard. All the configured browsers are displayed here. In case you find a browser missing from the dashboard but installed on your system, all you have to do is to configure the browser. It is easy. Just click on the link configure and update the browser_types.xml for the corresponding browser. Click on save and restart Sahi Pro once. Each of the links on Sahi dashboard has a specific purpose. For example, clicking on scripts link will open the directory where all the scripts are saved. Editor will launch the script editor. Docs will launch the documentation on Sahi Pro. Logs will launch the logs window. Let us start with a simple record and playback scenario. In this case, let me use Chrome. Once I click on Chrome from the Sahi dashboard, Sahi home page or start page is displayed. The next important component in Sahi is the Sahi controller, which can be launched either by clicking on the controller link or pressing Alt key and double clicking anywhere on this page. You can choose the controller mode from Sahi, Java or Ruby. I will let the mode be Sahi. Every action on this browser is ready for recording. Let me launch the controller by pressing Alt and double clicking on this browser. Let us launch a sample application. It is a simple shopping cart with login, few books, add to cart feature and logout. Let me resize the browser window such that we see both the browser and the Sahi control. Sahi controller has 4 tabs. For now, we are interested in the record tab as we will be recording the script. Let us enter a script name. Sahi overview. I will also prefix it by the letter D so that it is easy to identify later. Enter a script name and click on record button. On the browser, let me enter test, secret and login. So as you can see, every action on this browser is recorded and displayed in the recorded steps tab. Let me log in. Let me buy 2 Java books, 3 Ruby books and 1 Python book. I will add this to the cart, and I see that the total has changed from 0 to 1550. Let us add a verification point at this field. We have to identify the element total. Sahi uses its own wrappers around the JavaScript DOM to identify elements. Sahi APIs use various DOM attributes of an element to identify them. To identify any element, all we have to do is press Ctrl and do a mouse over on the element. As we mouse over, the element's accessor is displayed in the controller. You can also check by clicking on the highlight button. A red border is displayed around the element. Assertions in Sahi is very straightforward. You identify the element using Ctrl and mouse over, and once the element's accessor is displayed, click on Assert button. To assert the field, the different ways to assert are displayed in the Evaluate Expression field. There is Assert Exists, Assert Visible, and Assert Equal. We are interested if the value in the text box is equal to 1550. So we will remove the other two assert statements. We can test the statement by clicking on Test. The result True is displayed in the box below. We can then append to script. This assert statement then gets added to the main script. There is confirmation that the line got appended successfully. Then let us log out. As we have completed our recording, let us click on Stop in the controller. The script has been recorded. Launch Script Editor by clicking on the Script Editor link. Our script is ready. Let us play it back by clicking on Playback. We can choose any browser to play back the script. Let us choose Firefox and click on Run. You can observe the playback status being displayed at bottom right. Let us check the logs by clicking on Logs link. We have our script dsahioverview.sh here in orange color, which means the playback is in progress. And right now it is in green color, which means that the script has passed. Clicking on it displays the details of the individual script in terms of the total steps, status, and the total time taken. We also notice that the assert statement is color coded. Our script has individual statements. Some of these statements would be used across scripts, so let us create few functions. The script used by Sahi is called Sahi script. It is an extension of JavaScript. It uses the same constructs as JavaScript, just the variable starts with $. It also performs system actions like reading from file system, accessing database, or calling Java, etc. Creating functions in Sahi is very simple. All you need to do is select the statements and click on Create Function. The variables and values are clearly identified and displayed. The naming convention should follow camel case. I'll once again prefix with the letter D and create a function name called login. This would be add books. And we could also change the variables from Q to more meaningful variable names. In this case, it will be Java, Ruby, Python. this will be verify total. And for the sake of completeness, we'll have a function for logout as well. We could have all these functions in a separate file and include the file in this script. Let us cut paste all the functions into a new file. Press Alt N and paste it. And save this file as d sahi functions.lib functions lib.sh. We include the functions file by using _include API. Let us save it. This _include. Let us play it back and check the logs. As you can see, the code is nicely folded as per functions and color coded too. You can click on a specific function and view the status. Let us see what happens when there is a failure. Let us change the total from 1550 to 1540 and play it back. So the script playback is in progress. Did you notice that the browser was displayed in the foreground for few seconds? We will soon find out the reason. Let us check the logs. And here you can see that the script is color coded in red, which means it has failed. Let us expand the script, and the function dVerify total is also in red. On expanding, you can clearly see that the expected value was 1540 and the actual was 1550. So Sahi Pro clearly highlights what was expected and what is actual. Do you see the other link on script failure default? Sahi automatically takes a screenshot on failure, which helps you know where exactly the script failed, and we did not write a single line of code to capture the screenshot. Let us change the total back to the correct value 1550 and save the script. We will now check the function script and analyze any statement. _set value text box user and $user. Each line can be divided into action and element parts. Set value is the action and text box user is the element. When we identify elements, the best accessor for the element is displayed in the accessor field. Right here. One can go ahead and choose the alternatives from the alternatives drop-down. Suppose I want to test another scenario, invalid login. I need not record the login function again. We already have the login function recorded as part of the previous script. For this scenario, I have to record just the assertion for the error message. So let me log in by using test and fail instead of test and secret. On clicking on login, I get the error message invalid username or password. We have to assert the error message. As the error message text might change in future, let us check if there are better alternatives. So I identify this statement by pressing Ctrl and mouse over. So here it is displayed _div invalid username or password. And when I check for alternatives, I see that there is a div error message. This serves our purpose. Let us assert this, and we will be interested in whether assert visible div error message. So we'll copy this line, test for it, it returns true, and we can paste it in the functions library. And we can create a function out of this by selecting the line, clicking on create function, and say verify error. Sahi automatically waits for page loads and Ajax activities to complete. In at least 95% of the cases, there is no need to add wait in the scripts. If you notice the scripts, it reads _set value for text box Q. And how do testers communicate? They say test for the scenario where we buy 2 Java books. They never say test for 2 in the text box Q. So we will make use of relational APIs that emphasize identifying an element in relation to another element. So let us see an example. Let me log in with test secret. And I'll add 231. For example, here we have to enter 3 against Ruby for Rails. Tomorrow, due to code change, the Ruby book gets shifted below the Python field. So instead of ordering 3 books of Ruby, the script would buy 3 Python books. To avoid such situations, we can take help of relational APIs. So we will identify Ruby for Rails element first. We'll press Ctrl, mouse over Ruby for Rails, and here the element's accessor is displayed. So we have identified the Ruby for Rails element. Then anchor the main element by clicking on anchor icon. Then we will identify the element where quantity is entered for Ruby books. Control and mouse over here. Now the quantity field for Ruby is no longer _textbox Q1. It is textbox Q near cell Ruby for Rails. So even if Ruby for Rails element changes its position, we will always end up giving the right quantity against the book. The unique feature of relational APIs also makes Sahi scripts more stable than scripts by other tools, especially in element identification. Looking at the Sahi controller in detail, we find many buttons that can help us. Once an element's accessor is identified and displayed in Sahi controller, you can click on any of the actions and they initiate the respective API. For example, clicking on highlight would highlight the element. One can use other actions like get value for the selected element. In this case, we will get value of text box Q near cell Ruby, and it evaluates and returns the value 3. APIs list lists all the matching APIs to the string typed in this field. Suppose we want to get screen size. Let us start typing screen, and we can select the API get screen size. Evaluate expression box is like your test script. You can test statements here. You can also perform other actions like click is visible on the statements present in the evaluate expression box. Other important capabilities of Sahi Pro include Accessor Repository, Sahi Excel Framework, suites, data-driven testing, setup and teardown, sequential and distributed playback, features related to playback like offline reports, email capabilities, tags and scheduling. We will start with Accessor Repository. One of the recommendations is to use Accessor Repository. So when you record any script, say this would be AR demo, the Accessor demo, and let me log out here. So when you record any script, all you have to do is to check this checkbox, enable Accessor Repository. It asks for an Accessor Repository file, so you can provide the file name and start your recording. As you can see in the recorded steps tab, the first step is to include the AR file. So I'll assert it, test, append to main script and log out and stop the recording. I can launch the AR file, and as you observe, the output is a simple yet powerful AR file Accessor repository. It has the variable followed by the element. If you are using the element in multiple scripts and there is a change in the element position or ID or value, you may have to change all the scripts one by one. Instead, by including the Accessor repository file in each of your scripts, you will have to change at only one place, the AR file. All the scripts reference from the AR file. So let us launch the script which we recorded using Accessor repository on. So here, if login changes to sign in tomorrow, you need not update this particular script. As we are already referencing the AR file, you will have to update just this particular AR file, and all the scripts which use AR file will automatically get updated. Now we will check out Sahi Excel framework. Many domain experts may not be skilled in automation, and automation engineers may not have the domain expertise as the domain experts. Sahi Excel framework acts as a bridge in between them. Let us create a scenario file by clicking on New Scenario. Let us save it, the name D Scenarios. Domain experts need not know how the functions are written. The intent is clearly separated from the implementation. Domain experts have to verify if the test cases are correct. They can easily add new test cases by selecting functions from the drop-down. Let us start by adding the functions we created for our previous scripts. So this would be login, and as I type, the matching functions are displayed here. I can select it. Then I would like to add books. I'd like to verify the total, and finally log out. So this is my first test case where I want to test the cart functionality. As a domain expert, how do I know which parameters I need to pass? I can find out by pressing Ctrl and clicking on the function name. The function details pop-up displays the parameters needed for the corresponding function. So for login, I know that there are two parameters required, username and password. So let me enter the username and the password. So let me do that for the other two functions as well. Press Ctrl and click. So this function accepts three parameters: Java, Ruby, Python. So enter the number of books, verify total. It accepts the total as the parameter. We'll add one more test case. Test invalid login. So this would be login. And I need to verify the error message. So I'll search for the function error, verify error, and save this file. As a domain expert, I need not know how the function is written. I have to just include the library that has these functions. How do I do that? Press Ctrl and click on any of these functions. The pop-up you see now displays the function library that has this function. So I can either open or include the library. Let me include it. The function's color is orange in color. Now observe, as soon as I include, the color changes to black. If I give incorrect number of arguments, it is highlighted by red, so I know that this is invalid. Let us save it. We can remove this particular row, and here, as a domain expert, I've added test cases, and the automation engineers are also happy that the right test cases are automated. With automation, we'll soon have hundreds of scripts. Suites come in handy at that time. A suite is a collection of scripts. One can also use tags to selectively play back these scripts. We can use as many tags as possible and associate each script with those tags. There are two types of suites. A simple suite can be created by selecting the scripts and clicking on Create Suite. You would select the scripts and click on Create Suite. So this is a simple suite. You can also create a new .dd.csv by navigating to Create Suite, Data Driven Suite, and update the sheet with list of scripts start URLs, and tags. Here is an example of how to use tags. Let me open the script. The scripts column has the name of the scripts. The URL is populated with the start URL. Tags column has the different tags used for the script. For the smoke test script, we have used the tag smoke. For scripts related to posts and user, we have named the tag as post and user respectively. Finally, for the script related to settings, we have the tag as settings. So when we play back, we have the option of mentioning the tag. If we use all the scripts will be played back, as all the scripts have the tag all. If we want just the scripts related to post to be played back, we'll click on Playback and enter the tag as post and click on run. So now we are expecting only the create blog post and delete post script to run. The other type of suites is the data-driven suites. Data-driven suites is an example of data-driven testing. Data-driven testing focuses on using different sets of data for the same set of functions. Ideally, one would like to test through a variety of test data, and therein data-driven testing comes into picture. Data-driven testing can use external data or rows of data in the same file. We can then read data from CSV, XLS, or a DB file. Let me open an example script. Data-driven card testing. In this case, we have data from a CSV file, data for card testing.csv, and we are using the API read CSV file API. Here is the data file we are using, data for card testing.csv, and in the row against the keyword data, we are reading for each column: card data, books data, Ruby, card data file, books data, and Ruby. So we are saving the data from this particular file in the card data. Next, we'll look up at setup and tear down concepts. We might be repeating certain steps before and after every test case. Instead of adding them again and again, we would add them under the global section. Setup would include the steps which are run before every test case. Tear down will include the steps which are run after every test case. In this case, login is under setup and logout is under tear down. So first, setup will be executed, that is login, followed by first test case, then tear down, which is logout, then followed by setup, then the second test case, tear down, and so on. Scripts are more compact in these cases. Finally, we look at a few concepts related to playback. Let me launch the sample script. Playback can be from the script editor or from the controller. When played back from the controller, we can play the script only on the browser from which the controller is initiated. There is no such restriction when playing back from script editor. You can record in any browser and play it back on any configured browsers. One can also play back across machines using distributed playback. Select this option, Run Distributed, and click on Distribution Nodes to configure the different machines. This machine is now the master. Master is the one which distributes tests across machines and collects reports. You can select another master by checking this checkbox, Use Different Master, and giving the machine details. You can also choose to run sequentially in a single browser. There is also provision for offline reports in different formats, and that comes under Advanced Settings. The different formats available are Excel, JUnit, XML, HTML, TM6, sample, and email. You can specify the location and check on this Use checkbox and click on Update. One can also configure email reports on every run. Success or failure. Configuration is to be done on the email.properties file. You can also schedule the playback by clicking on Schedule, and the playback will be scheduled. And talking about AND target, you can create an AND target by clicking on Create AND target, which should generate an XML. Copy this XML and paste it in your build.xml. You can find the documentation on how to configure Jenkins at sahipro.com/docs using Sahi section, and here it is, Jenkins integration. So there is a detailed description of how to configure Jenkins. With so many features in Sahi Pro and a prerequisite as minimal scripting knowledge, Sahi Pro is rightly called the tester's web automation tool. It has an excellent recorder and object spy which works on any modern browser. It automatically waits for page loads and Ajax activity. Sahi does not need browser to be in focus. It can playback multiple scripts simultaneously, reducing playback time. Sahi is the only tool in the world which can run scripts in parallel on multiple instances of Internet Explorer. Without writing a single line of code, Sahi captures screenshots on failure and also builds rich reports. The entire documentation on Sahi Pro is available at sahipro.com/docs, and cheat sheet highlighting almost all the APIs is available on the blog sahipro.com/blog. Feel free to contact us at support@sahipro.com or on Twitter @sahipro. Do try out Sahi by downloading from sahipro.com and clicking on this link, download free trial. Thank you for your time. Happy testing.